Good afternoon. I hope I'm connected and you can hear me okay. I've got my sunglasses on because it is the PR Secrets Summer School Intensive, where I'm giving you every Tuesday and Thursday some awesome tips and tricks on how you can become much more visible, how people can see you, hear you everywhere in the press. Here we are. Here are all the magazines that you'd love to get yourself into. Or not. Or is it these magazines here? Glamour, Fabulous, or the Waitrose magazine? Which one is in your dream, your pipe dream? Or is it to get in here? Yeah, into the radio. Where do you want to appear? That's what you need to think about. And first of all, and here's my other radio. I love this little radio. It's an analog and it really does the job. I'm addicted to the radio and I'm constantly tuned in and listening, okay? Now, the reason why today is all about tuning in and listening is because whenever I do my workshops, I think about 95% of people don't actually tune in and listen. 95% put their hand up and say, no, I don't listen to the news. A lot of people say it's really depressing, and yes, you're totally right, because at the moment, the news is horrendous. And so people just decide they don't actually want to listen to the news. But if you want to get onto those radio shows, onto the talk shows, into the press, you really do need to start tuning in and listening. Now, I've got a graphic, but here we are. Here's the first little intro. Ta-da! Step 2. Tune in and listen. Because on Tuesday, I gave you tips all about how to stop self-sabotage, how to stop sabotaging your opportunities by just having, not very much self-belief. Sooner you up the ante and think, do you know what? It's all about me, this business. I'm helping people make transformations in their lives through the work that I do. This is you talking, not me. You've got to start realizing that people do want to hear from you. And actually then, once you realize that, then you'll have the confidence to pitch to these kinds of magazines. So that's what's all about, upping the ante and saying, okay, do you know what? If I get a knockback, I'm just going to get back up again. Because the next person you speak to will probably like what you do and what you offer. So, why do you need to up the ante and start tuning in? Okay, so tuning in, and I have got a bit of a cough, so excuse me, I will have to have a cough. So why is because you can react and be the first one to the story. If there's a story which is relevant to you, to your business, Psychologist magazine, whatever you do, you might be a life coach, you might be into health and fitness, you might be wanting to get something into Glamour magazine, start reading it. Just start reading it month in, month out, and get used to the format of those magazines. In Psychologist, we know the layout. They have something called the Fix. They have, the dossier, and they also have, features, regular features. So really, you just need to tune in and start buying or consuming the magazines which you love and you dream to get into. And the same applies for the press, for the radio. So today I had a really great success story. I managed to get a client into BBC Essex. That's amazing, because she's talking about a local show. It's an event happening tomorrow in Southend, and it's called the Essex Women's Business Experience, which is going to be fantastic. But she didn't want to go national. Well, it'd be great if she could go national, but really, she doesn't want to be appealing to people in the north of England or in Scotland or in Wales. She literally wants people in the Essex area. So what we've been doing is listening to that radio show and tuning in to BBC Essex and hearing what kind of things they cover. And we actually managed to make a great hit. And tomorrow, during the actual event itself, it's going to be brilliant. Rosemary Cunningham is actually going to be interviewed, live from her event. And the thing is, as soon as you start listening or tuning in, if you want to start doing the newspaper reviews, if that's your dream, start watching those programmes. It's 10 o'clock. I don't know, I can't remember what the time it is, but Helen Croydon, my journalist friend who I work very closely with in my VIP group, she is very, very regularly doing the Sunday paper reviews or Friday evening reviews on Sky and on BBC. So, and how did she get it? Well, I think she also did a bit of tuning in and listening. Obviously, being a journalist, she's probably on a list, but if that's your target and your goal and you've got something to share with the world and you've got some really great experience and knowledge, start watching the shows that you'd love to appear on, because as soon as you do that, you're not just going to be blindly, appealing to them and saying, hey, I'd love to appear on your show because I'd be great. No, you'll do a much more targeted approach going, I have read, and I know there's an interiors designer. I haven't got an interiors magazine, unfortunately. Let's say this is an interiors magazine. Let's say this is Elle Deco. So you would say, okay, well, I know that every single month you do a piece and it's all about, the interiors, children's interiors. Or, every single month you do something, a really outstandingly interesting, amazing piece on, you know, the most wacky bit of interior design. So if that piece is called Interiors Fix, you just say, do you know what, I've been reading Bazaar for the past 3 or 4 months, and I really can see my company featuring here because I have got something which is, which is going to knock the socks off everybody else that you've covered. Well, maybe don't say that. Don't compare yourself to the competition, but just say, I think that I am really out there, and I'd love to have my stuff featured because my clients are raving about it. I'm getting orders all over the place, and this is going to be an exclusive for you, or something like that. But what the message is, you've got to tune in. So not only to the radio. You're not just tuning in here to my lovely white radio, tuning in to the publications, the newspapers, the magazines, also to the TV and also to the radio. But do you know what else is good about it? It's because you're going to see what the competition is doing. So when I was running my knitwear business, I used to get so pissed off with all of my competition constantly appearing, in the Waitrose magazine and the Telegraph and all the rest of it. Then I thought, do you know what? I'm going to get inspired by the competition. I'm not going to get pissed off with it. I'm actually going to do something which I can then appear side by side with them. And that's why I managed to get my knitwear business so much coverage, because I was watching and I was reading and I was seeing where my competition was featuring. And I thought, do you know what? We have the same target audience. My typical client used to be Waitrose woman, very elegant, affluent, would buy expensive knitwear pieces, which is what I designed. And so I thought, yep, sorry. It would be the Telegraph, it would be Vogue, it would be Tatler, it would be Waitrose magazine or whatever. So target the publications that you want to get into. Don't just blindly approach them. And the other great thing about tuning in is, because at the moment you're probably tuning in or trying to tune out of so much media, social media coverage all of the time. Everybody is doing Facebook ads, everybody is tweeting, everybody is Instagramming, everybody's doing everything else. And you know what? You might be trying that as well, but it may not be getting you the results. Tune in to your radio stations, tune in to anything, any place where you think that your target audience will be watching, reading. You do that. Okay, and then the great news is once you've tuned in and you start submitting yourself to the local press, because I tell you one thing, I've been calling up the local press recently for Rosemary Cunningham's event, which is happening tomorrow in Southend. They're always so nice and they're always so friendly and they're always so keen to feature you. So I tell you one thing, please don't forget about the local press. Tune into the local press. So here we are. I've got another graphic for you. So it's starting a bit like this. Here's the news. So first of all, you can react to what's going on in the press. You can find your press hook. So what is going to be interesting and relevant about your story? Why will psychologists be interested in you? Why will Fabulous want to feature your most amazing lipstick brand? Why? Think about all of that. Then also think about what is your golden nugget, okay? So what is it about you, the entrepreneur, the small business owner, what is it about you that makes you interesting, makes you stand out from the crowd? Because all of these journalists are bombarded constantly with press releases. But if there's something which really inspires them or is linked to what they do in their outside of work life, there might be something which go, oh, God, I used to live in Essex. I used to go to a school in, Chelmsford, la, la, la. There might be a connection. That's happened with me before, actually, with a local Essex woman who's a major magazine editor. Do you know what I mean? So just think about where you are. And do you know what? My little secret is one day I was trying to get through to her loads and loads and loads, and I used to call her landline. No, I used to call from my mobile. And what I did was one day I thought, I'm not going to hide my number. I'm actually going to let it be revealed. So I dialed from my local number, and she goes, oh, hey, I thought you were an old school friend of mine. So, because I used to live, I recognise that, the code. So do you know what? Sometimes doing that is a bit out there, but it also gets the results. And also, when you're trying to pitch, make sure you have a catchy headline. Why is it they're going to want to hear from you? So going back to the Rosemary story, we managed to get her into double-page spread today in Echo, again, another local newspaper. She's had about 4 media appearances now, which is excellent. But we had a catchy title, and it was this: Why Essex Women's Bras and Knickers Are Going Over to Africa. Okay, so that was an eye-catching headline, and people have actually really liked that story. So think about that when you're calling up or when you're sending in your press releases. And then don't forget, I mean, I know I'm talking about social media being quite hard work and actually people not getting the results, but don't forget when you do send out your press release, don't forget to social share as well. Share it out on all your Twitter and all those handles that you do, all the platforms that you cover off, because you don't know who's watching, who might see it and pick up on it. And then you just rinse and return the whole process. There you are. So if you would like my graphic, write down in the comment box below, DPS. That stands for, anybody know? Double page spread. And that's because we're celebrating today Rosemary Cunningham's double page spread in the Echo. And she's already sold some tickets on the back of that. So that is fantastic. So get pitching and get tuning in. Tune in to the local radio. Okay? Thank you very much for watching. And I hope you're going to write down DPS because I will send you over that graphic for you. Okay? Thanks for joining.